Welcome to another episode of Do It For The Clips, the podcast where we basically do it for the clips, right? I'm a short-form video agency. You are the short-form king right here, Michael Barayev. Welcome to the show.
I appreciate you. Thank you for having me come by.
This is exciting. It's like a little preview to seeing if this thing goes well. Both Brickle boys, both Miami.
It's gonna go well, my friend. Don't worry.
So if you've been on the internet, at one point you have seen Michael Barayev. Whether you know the name or not, you have seen it because this is one of the pioneers, I would say, of the street interview social format. You really pioneered that. You went out there, and if you're ever out on the streets of Brickle, Mary Brickle Village on a Saturday night, you're likely to be interviewed by this man over here. So, Michael, let's talk short form.
Short form.
Short form.
When you say short form, a lot of people think it's just about 30 seconds or 60 seconds, but short form is about grabbing people's attention, in my opinion, right? You got to captivate their attention because people are finger fucking their phone throughout the day, right? By the way, this is not going to be PG-13, if that's okay. Can I just be me? You see that right there? That's short form, right? You keep it in engaging, you keep it in exciting.
Okay, yes.
You keep it boring, nobody's going to watch it, right?
I agree with you.
But to me, short form has become a big thing because everyone's attention span is very, very tiny. Mm-hmm. But you have to have the right hooks and get the right attention. Money follows attention at the end of the day, and if you want to make money, you need to have some sort of attention. The attention could be good. The attention can be bad. Either way, you need the attention.
I like that a lot. So let's talk about that because I think a lot of people miss the point of short form video or just social media in general. What is social media to you? What do you use it for? One sentence answer.
Magnet,
right? To make money, attention. Yeah?
Yeah, to attract attention because attention is not only about making money, it's about relationships too.
Exactly.
Right? Relationships.
Exactly.
Right? It's about connections. It's about people getting to know who you are. It's also about spreading the information you want to spread. For example, for me, I want to spread more awareness about the light, about God, about the spiritual aspect of the world, right? It's not just about money. To be a happy person, you got to spread that out because God is a perfect example of how you should be living your life, right? God gives us examples how he does things. So I want to be as much as I can on a daily basis. How do I shed more light to the universe? How do I make the world a better place? How can the world be better than the way that I found it? Because if not, what's the point of me living in the world? So for me, I go out there, whether it's business content, whether it's, asking questions with interviews, it doesn't matter what it is. I've always tried different things, but to me, it was always about how do I get more people to see the light in the world? How do I make the world a better place? And if you can think of it at that angle, short form content becomes fun and easy and not boring, but you just got to figure out what angle you want to go through it. Some people choose, to ask questions in the street. Some people choose to do it in studios. It just depends on your decision, right? But for me, it was always about how do I bring more light into the universe because there's a lot of challenging things out there, a lot of darkness, a lot of evil. My girlfriend was telling my wife, she was telling me, girlfriend, why it was a fast
thing. It's been what, a month?
It's been married? Like 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
Mazel tov.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah. So for me, she was saying the other day that she heard someone say that babies are evil. Right? And I was like, what are you talking about? But you know what that is? I told her it's all about this social media using crazy lines, polarizing content. And she did the person that said it did make sense a little bit. Babies are evil because when they come into this world, they're extremely selfish. All they care about is themselves. So that's a good hook line right there. Are babies really evil? I don't think so. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. But that's what the person that was teaching this aspect of spirituality was saying. I was like, that's a great social media hook. Start your video off saying babies are evil. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Unfortunately, we have a lot of people rage baiting and just putting stuff out there and they just feed off of the emotions, which is a very unhealthy thing. But let's avoid that for a second. But for now, I want to bring it back because I think a lot of people, especially people who you grew up with maybe, or I grew up with, they look at our social media, and I've heard through friends of mine. The grapevine, there's so many people that must be like, what a douchebag, right? They've said it about me. I'm sure they've said it about you. Woo-hoo! But first of all, I think we're both blessed to be at a point in our lives where we don't give a single about.
I've never given a crap.
Okay.
Some people do, some people don't.
Some people do, and I thank God for that blessing. However, I don't think people realize it is a business tool. My entire business is predicated on building social media presence for executives, lawyers, VCs, people you would never expect to. In fact, I was talking to a friend at Deloitte recently. They're making them post content now.
Really?
Deloitte. They want
Really?
share of voice content in the market.
Yeah, because they want attention. You need to get clients somehow.
Because they used to do white papers and they used to do all this bullshit and nobody reads that. What are people doing? Like you said, they're
watching videos.
Exactly. So let's bring it back. Let's bring it back to those people that are probably calling you a douchebag now. Tell us how you grew up, because you've obviously accomplished some amazing things. You do a little bit of research, right? You've built multiple 7-figure businesses before the age of 30. You have built in a mass following, over 500,000 followers across platforms. Probably
I don't really count, but yeah.
Probably hundreds of millions of views generated on your own. So bring it back. Like, how did you grow up? You know, a lot of people will see these Miami guys like, you know, it's just another Miami bro, another service bro. Like,
I just
bring it back.
Before I bring it back, I do want to say about the Miami culture here, right? And this is not just Miami, it's New York, LA, it's wherever you go. Everyone has a deep desire to be somebody, to be someone significant, to make the world a better place somehow in their angle. The challenge is that they're trying to do it so fast. They're trying to do it in 3 days versus taking 10 years to do it, right? So they forget about adding value to themselves, becoming valuable, becoming an asset. So people actually come to them and say, hey, I want to learn from you. I want to get a chance to know you and be your friend, whatever the case may be. They go out there, they want to be 19 years old and look rich instead of being rich. They want to look successful instead of be successful. And that's the problem, because you're trying to catch up with everyone around you. But when you really sit there and focus on becoming the best asset in the world, investing in yourself, becoming the best version of yourself, that is when people are going to start asking you questions and say, hey, how did you do this? How did you do that? Because a lot of people nowadays, they're not happy. They're extremely miserable. They make some kind of money. And the first thing they do is they buy some bullshit to show the world that you're successful. A little bit of status, because they don't feel whole on the inside. They have this gaping hole. Instead of filling it with spirituality and doing the right things, they fill it in with a bullshit car or a bullshit watch. And then 2 months later, guess what happened to that car? They give 2 squirts of piss about that car. Because that car only fills a temporary void. Right? It's a temporary void. So to kind of go back on, my story, I remember as a child, from 0 to 19, my life was a living hell. And whoever's watching this, you may relate with this somehow, some way. And by the way, I want to make this as a preface. I love my father. I love my mother. Great parents. I respect them because it says in the Torah, it says in the Bible, for those that are Jewish, the 5th commandment is what? Honor your father and honor your mother. Now, I think I was born into this world because I needed to do that, because as a kid, I didn't do that, which we'll get into in a second. And I believe, from the ages of 0 to 19, it was a living test for me to do it, and I didn't do it, right? What I mean by that? My parents grew up in Uzbekistan. I was born in Uzbekistan. We came to America when I was 7 months old. My father was a gynecologist. He was a chess master. He was an acupuncturist. He was a pianist, composer, a poet. He was an amazing guy, extremely talented, extremely successful what he did in his country. They immigrated to America because there was pogroms. Russia was falling apart. They lost everything, so all their money became zero. Just imagine all the hard work you just did becomes into nothing. You have you just got married. You have a baby boy, right? You show up to America, you can't pass the exam, you can't be a gynecologist, you can't be an acupuncturist. Why? It just doesn't work out. You're fighting at home with your wife. There's zero shalom bayit, which in Hebrew means peace in the house. And one of the things we learn is that if you have no peace in the house, how can you create success on the outside of the world when you're battling a war on the inside of the house? How can you, right? And a lot of successful people can say that either they focus 100% on business or they focus 100% on their home. But either way, you got to focus on both. You can't just forget one or the other. Right? So my father just, that really took a toll on him. So that's why I said it with empathy, because I don't want people to say, oh, your father's an asshole. No, my father had a challenging time. He didn't do what he needed to do to become the man he needed to become. That's not me to judge. It's what happened. But we ended up being in a very abusive situation at home. My parents were killing each other left and right, throwing pots and pans at each other. It was a very dangerous situation for any child to live through. But I say that because, sometimes I want to say it, but I don't want to disrespect my father and mother. But once again, what they did for me was incredible. I learned a massive amounts of blessings and greatness from my dad and my mom, and I'll get to that in a second. But as I was, growing up, all I saw was war, fighting, anger, destruction, chaos. There was very little peace in my life. As a matter of fact, the first peace in my life was my wife. Right? The first piece of my life, I was like, what is this quietness? I couldn't understand it, right? Because I grew up with havoc. I grew up with chaos. Like, just imagine being in the military, being in war in Iraq and Afghanistan, and coming back home and it's pitch quiet. You get freaked out by the quietness. That's how my life was for my most, in my 20s and 30s. But as I grew up, little by little, I was getting kicked out of schools. I got kicked out of 8 schools, okay? I ended up, being in foster care at the age of 15. A lot of chaos, a lot of havoc. I was depressed. There was, they're trying to medicate me, trying to tell me I was, ADD, ABC, OCD, oppositional, this, that, all this kind of bullshit. And it was everything from fucking A to Z. But what they didn't realize was that inside of me, I just wanted to be somebody special to make the world a better place. I was just tired of being in that havoc and crazy environment, right? And as a child, you don't understand what's going on. You're just kind of going through the motions, right? But getting kicked out of different schools, ending up being in hospitals, ending up, going to foster care. At 17 years old, I had a major situation where one of these young men in this foster care took a brass knuckle, hit me in the face, broke my face, and I had to get surgery on my face. And long story short, thank God I look okay, a little bit. I don't look perfect like I used to be, okay? But and thank you for, I got married, so it's okay, guys, you can make it. But what ended up happening was that it changed everything for me, right? I said, I'm never going back to this foster care place again. Now, by the way, in this foster care place, for those that don't know, if you ever grew up in a foster care system, it is crazy because you're growing up with 90 to 95% of kids that come from battered homes, abusive homes, no father, no mother, similar situation, but maybe even worse. Parents are murderers, killers, drug dealers, whatever it may be. And you're surrounded by these schmucks, okay, who probably will never end up anywhere. And by the way, 90% of them, I actually looked up all these names because I was so curious what happened to these people. A lot of them ended up dead. A lot of them ended up in jail, back again. A lot of them ended up in different kind of programs. I actually bumped into one of them 7-8 years ago, and he was working at McDonald's. He finally made it out. And he was working at McDonald's. Wow. Thank God. And he was telling me about this guy, my son got killed, this guy. I'm like, oh, wow. So this is the kind of people I stay with. They peed in my shampoo bottles, they peed on my bed. It was a fucking nightmare. Fights all the time. Just imagine getting beat up by 10 guys every single day. Every single day. Why? Only because you're white and you're Jewish. That's the only two reasons. So when people say anti-Semitism doesn't exist, listen, I felt it. All because I was Jewish. They literally said, Jew boy, Jew this, Jew that, right? And when you're a young 16, 17-year-old kid, that's the time you want to fit in. I felt so alone. I felt so scared. I felt so abandoned by God, by family, by everybody, that I felt the only way to become who I needed to become was to depend on myself. Which is not a good way of thinking, but that's what I felt. At 19, 18 years old, I got kicked out of my mom's house, slept, because I couldn't behave at home. I was fighting with my brothers. We grew up in a one-bedroom apartment, just so you guys understand. A one-bedroom apartment, 750 square feet. Okay? And the reason why I'm telling this, not for you to feel bad for me, and not to disrespect my parents. My parents are amazing. Is because I want to share with you guys that no matter what your situation is, some people may have an excuse of why they're not where they want to be. Others have a freaking reason. I had a reason. My reason was I will never, ever, 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 ever want me or my children or my wife to ever experience what I experienced. Ever. Because I wanted a different lifestyle. I wanted a completely opposite life. Right? So up until 19, it was havoc and chaos. Well, you might say, what happened at 19? Well, I got kicked out of my mom's house. Right? Because I wasn't listening, I wasn't behaving. And, growing up, we were so poor that my parents, I never ate steak. I never went to a restaurant. Restaurant? I go to restaurants all the time now, but a restaurant, we had only thing we went to a restaurant was a pizza pie.
I was with my co-founder once, and we were, I didn't grow up as tough as you, but wasn't exactly, upper class. And I said to him, oh, I'm so excited. We're going out to eat tonight. They're going to go take us to a nice steakhouse. We all get steak. And he goes to me, and this guy grew up with money. He's like, is steak a big deal to you? And I'm like, yeah, my dad never let me get my own steak. I had to split a main with my 4 siblings. Like, that didn't, what are you talking about? But anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, steak restaurants, like we didn't have that, right?
It's still crazy. I still have that. Do you still have that when you go to restaurants and like you want to order a steak, you feel like in the back, like that little guilt?
A little bit. But I'm like, fuck. But can I be honest with you? What do I always order when we go out to eat? I love steaks.
I love steak too.
I love steak. I do it to prove to my old self, you deserved it. You earned it. Right? It could be a $50 steak. It doesn't mean anything crazy, right?
I saw something once that the guy was like, when like you've really made it, like when you have real money, we don't really think about the price on the menu in the restaurant. Do you feel that?
Yes and no. I'll tell you why. Because I grew up with such scarcity. We grew up so poor. Like when I say food stamps, government cheese, that's literally how we grew up. I remember at 19 years old, we still had food stamps. You know what I'm saying? Like think about it. Food stamps is supposed to be a stepping stone, not a lifestyle. For me, it was Medicaid, food stamps, fuck the government, because that's the only way you're going to survive. Right? My mom and my dad collectively made $11,000 a year in those days, and in today's money, it's $18,000 a year. How the hell do you feed a family of 5 people on $18,000 in today's money? It's almost impossible. I remember my father, while putting me through all these different schools, and I respect him so much, and this is one of the things I learned about him, he would spend all day, about 6 hours a day, calling different charities, calling different rabbis to say, hey, can we put our sons and children through school? Because how do you put people through? I went to private school. All these private schools, it costs money. It ain't free. So he had to beg people. And how embarrassing it was to him, I don't know, but I can imagine calling people and say, hey, can you mind giving me $50, $100, $200 so I could pay this month for private school? Because we didn't have the money. We never paid for school. And it was all private school, right? So looking back, I'm so grateful that my father had the balls to do that. But, life just didn't work out the way it needed to. But you may think that it didn't work out the way it needed to, but for me, I think it was the biggest blessing. Because if I can go back and say, Michael, would you change anything? No. I'll tell you why. Not because of the pain. Because of the lessons that I got. 99% of people do not have the fucking lessons that I got. They didn't learn the things that I had to learn. They didn't learn the gevura, which is what? Focusing on discipline. I'm the most disciplined motherfucker on planet Earth. Not because I speak about that. Because my father taught me that. Because all he did was being so harsh and aggressive on me. My father, when he came down, when he got married, I love him to death. You know what he asked me? Because he doesn't remember, right? Because he had, he has a mental condition that he doesn't remember. And a lot of times when you go through that kind of lifestyle, you forget what you've done. He asked me, was I really that harsh on you? Because my brother asked him, why were you so harsh on Michael, not so harsh on them? He doesn't remember. And I love him to death. I respect him. I admire him because the things that I learned from him, nobody can teach me these things. The integrity. For me, I always say this story because my father, when he was at a gas station, right? We were in a gas station. He pumps the gas. It went over by a penny. He goes into the car, takes a penny, goes inside, gives it to the cashier. I'm like 10 years old. I'm like, Pop, it's a penny. What's going on? It's not a big deal. He's like, it's not my penny. Taught me a very valuable lesson. Be honest in everything you do. Integrity. My mind, always focus on integrity, right? These are the lessons that you don't learn. Sometimes kids don't know what integrity means these days. They say they're Yapper University. They will say whatever they want, do whatever they want. Discipline. My father taught me discipline. Now you might say, what'd you learn from your mom? Oh my God, the most kindest human being in the world. If it wasn't for my mom, I would have never met my wife because I literally have never met someone so sweet as a person as my mom. Chesed, which is kindness, how to be giving, how to be loving, how to be caring. So can you imagine mixing chesed, which is kindness, and gevura, which is discipline together? What happens to that human being? Machine. You understand? And I'm not trying to self like elevate myself, but I'm explaining to you the things that I've learned. I never, ever, ever looked at myself having pity.
You crack me.
Right? Because I have fun with it.
Who does it make? Superman, damn it. Fucking Superman. Yeah, Kryptonite's the only...
But the point is this: 19 years old, I got kicked out of a house, right?
Yeah, but by the way, I just want to pause you because it's extremely mature of you to be at this point because there's so many people that go around the world and just blame their parents for everything.
No.
And obviously, your parents were dealt a shit hand. Your dad.
You gotta understand where they come from. Put yourself in your parents' shoes.
It is impossible for anyone to really understand where their parents were at that point unless you've lived their lived experiences. My mother was brought up by a father who lost his entire family in the Holocaust, was a World War II vet, had probably crazy PTSD that was never treated. I could never imagine what growing up in that house would do to a person. And my mom is I love her dearly and she's amazing. And I can't put any blame about anything on anyone. My father too. His father died when he was 16. It was the same thing. You can't.
You need to have empathy. Yeah. And you need to sit back and say, okay, why did someone do something?
And even if it was their fault, by the way,
who cares?
It doesn't fucking matter.
Why am I judging my life based on someone else's decisions?
It might be their fault, but it's your responsibility to make it yourself.
100%. And 19 was when my life changed because you might say, Michael, how did you change? You think it was by accident? I was sitting there praying to God every freaking minute saying, please give me a sign, help me meet somebody. 19 years old, my mom kicked me out of my house. At that same time, I met a mentor. That mentor I met in the gym, he was doing, a tricep. I never forget tricep curls in the gym. And I was just started talking, hey, how do you, what are you doing this and that? I'm like, what do you do?
What's a tricep curl?
Tricep curl, whatever it's called. I don't fucking
Tricep extension?
Extension.
Ain't nobody doing tricep curl.
I've been going to the gym for so many years.
Your elbow goes the other way.
Yeah, tricep extensions, my bad, right?
Okay.
So he was doing that. I was talking to him. He's like, I have 7 children.
Yeah.
I was like, 7 children? This was in New York. I'm like, how does this guy surviving with 7? What do you do for work? He's like, I got different businesses, this and that. And then he introduced me to network marketing, which was Amway back in the day. Okay? Changed my life, bro. Because all I needed to hear was someone give me permission to think positive. Because I didn't know that there's a way to control the way you think. I had no idea that your thoughts lead to your words lead to your actions lead to your habits lead to your destiny. I didn't know about all these things. I was like, what the fuck? I started reading books. I started becoming part of a business community and started getting mentorship and guidance. And that's when life started to change. And you might say, well, Michael, why don't you blame your mom and dad for the... Why would I blame them? They gave me the biggest freaking blessing. Because when you look at my life and you look at the things that I have learned, I would have never learned these things. Now, you may have learned it through other aspects, maybe through a book. I actually lived a life where I had to learn these things. I was forced because God had a great plan for me. And I look at it as the biggest blessings and biggest stepping stones, that everything that happened was happening for me. It didn't happen to me, it happened for me. And I take that as a biggest blessing. And a lot of people walk around with this mopey, gropey, sad situation. Oh, you don't understand, but Michael. And I always bring up the story, and I'm gonna let you go after this. There was these two Navy SEALs, okay? There was these Navy brothers, they went into the military, they were twins. They go into the Navy SEAL program. One makes it, one doesn't. Boom. Thanksgiving dinner, they're sitting there with the family, this and that. You know, the parents are not there. The parents passed away many years ago. And the family starts asking, you know, and one of the friends asked them, hey, how come you made it, you know, how come you didn't make it through the Navy SEAL program? And his answer was, hey, listen, you don't understand. My father was very abusive. He was an alcoholic. He used to beat me up. Life was tough. Okay, that makes sense, right? Tough life. He couldn't make it. Then they asked the other brother, how did you make it through the Navy SEAL program? You know what he said? My father was abusive, had a tough life. You don't understand? One person's excuse, another person's reason. The question is, what is your excuse? Or what is your reason? And you have to, every single day, you have that choice. Am I going to make my life be an excuse or be a reason? Was my life an excuse or reason? It was a fucking reason to say I am done and that's it. It stops with me, not in the sand and the line. Not a line in the sand, a line in the cement. That's the past, bro. It's not going to happen to my family or future children. I'll do whatever it takes. And by the way, I did. We could talk about what we've done to create that, because I was willing to do whatever it took. As long as it didn't kill somebody, I was in. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people don't have that mentality, and they wonder why they're sitting there twiddling their thumbs, why things are not their way. Because they're not willing to sacrifice everything on the line to get exactly what they want in life. And I was. I knew the kind of woman I wanted to be with. I did not, I knew exactly, I made a list of 100 things. People thought I was crazy. Oh, Michael, you're so lunatic. You're going to write 100. I said, bro, shut your mouth. You live with your angry, angry situation here. I know exactly what I want. And by the way, 99%. She missed 1 or 2 checks. And one of those checks she already completed recently. One check missing, baby. Okay. And that's never going to happen. You know what that one check was? Long black hair. I didn't care about that. Now I love the blondie.
She's sitting right there, people. Okay. Otherwise, she would be getting this much airtime. Amazing, amazing. So, wow, that was a lot. You're a clip machine. You're a clip machine. So, what would you say? You're so inspirational now. You're obviously super passionate. Someone who's listening that's still in the shit. It's very easy to see this now. Obviously, you can only connect the dots looking back, right? And obviously, Hormozy says you want to build someone who is patient. You're not going to give them everything right away. You want to build someone who's resilient. You're not going to give them an easy life. But when you're in it,
oh yeah,
when you're think about back.
Perfect.
You're 17. Shit sucks.
Yeah. My thing is this.
What's your message to that person right now?
Enjoy the shit. You gotta change your perspective, right? Whatever you give meaning to is gonna be important to you. You gotta look at it right now, because no one told this shit to me. So I was going through pain aimlessly. You know what a masochist is? Someone that's a sister just wants to put themselves through pain. But if there's a purpose to pain, then why not? Right? But you have to figure out the purpose of the pain. A lot of times people go through pain aimlessly. It's fine. Figure out the purpose of pain. What will you gain if you go through this pain? What's the benefit of this pain? What can you learn in the situation? By the way, when things are going amazing, you don't pay attention to shit. You're in fucking elevated land. When things are painful, oh shit, where's the pain? You start paying attention. What is pain? It's God created pain so you can pay attention to it. Stove is hot. Woo! You don't care about your wife. You don't care about your children. You don't care about your mama. You don't care about nobody. You care about that stove is hot. Holy shit, take my hand off. That's what pain does to you. So when you're in that pain, enjoy it. Learn from it. Cook with it. Make it happen. This is the most important time of your life to pay attention to the pain. What is going wrong and what is going right? Use it to your advantage. So now what you just did was change your meaning and your perspective of the situation that you're in. Instead of saying, oh my God, why me, why me, why me? Now you can start saying, try me, try me, try me. right? It's a different perspective because then you're like, okay, what can I gain from the situation? Because there's a beautiful situation coming out of here. I read in a book called Think and Grow Rich. Great book.
Yep.
The greater the what was the saying? Hold on. The greater the adversity, the greater the victory. You're sitting here complaining about small adversities, small little pains, small little wins. You want this massive reward, you gotta go through a little bit of a struggle. And I know people say, oh, there's no such thing as pain. Yes, but the perspective is different. It's not really pain, it's just lessons. So when you're in the shit, enjoy it. By the way, time is temporary. So what I remember when I got arrested for the 1,000th fucking time, okay? And I'm sitting there in a jail cell, and I already knew I'm gonna come out, right? Because they, they 24 hours, 34 hours, 48 hours, whatever, you start coming out, okay? Then you gotta go to court and waste your time, all this bullshit. I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, it's hour number 2. I'm like, great. 30 hours left. Time shall pass. And I raw dog it. Nowadays, you go to people talk about raw dogging flights. I've been raw dogging this shit for years, bro.
I've been raw dog in jail.
Bro, I was just sitting there staring, and I was looking at I was just like, how long can I stare at this fucking one spot on the ceiling and just look? And you see a schmuck here pissing, a schmuck here doing this. You don't give a fuck. You're just sitting there. Someone tries to move you in the chair, you go, huh. And just leave you alone. You look a little crazy. They don't want to fucks with you, and that's it. You just raw dog it.
You know what my wife says to me?
What?
Can't go to jail. Too pretty.
You're too pretty for jail. You gotta look at it.
She's like, you cannot do anything. You would not.
You know they thought I was crazy because I would just smile in there. You just smile, be a little crazy, and they don't fuck with you.
Okay,
the crazy ones they don't fuck with.
Good to know. Good tips. Good tips.
Little tips.
Okay, wait. We got it till 19. We got the origin story. How old are you now?
34.
34. Okay, so you're 15 years of hustling since the Amway days. What have you built in? Just give us like high level overview of the different companies you've launched, and give us an idea of the amount of revenue and profit, if you're comfortable sharing.
Who cares about revenue, bro? Everyone talks about revenue. Right. Everybody, I made $17 fucking million today. By the way, I'm a small ant compared to what other people make. Okay. But I don't compare myself to Joey Schmoey, to Bobby. I compare myself to my own game, right? So for example, in my 20s, for me, if I told you right now, with all that background, just to give an example, that by 25 or 28 or 30 years old, I'll be a multi-millionaire, would you believe that story?
I mean, I know you
know the story, but you're like, if I told you that's the scenario of that individual, that's the CEO, that's the entrepreneur.
Very unlikely.
You'd be like, I don't bet on that guy. You know what you'll bet on? The guy who finished great school, mom and dad, 18 years old, cum laude, mulati, fucking finished finance at 21 years old, now has a successful CEO at 25 years old, multi-millionaire.
You're the wild card.
I am 100% the wild card. So I don't compare my result to someone else, right? So I remember, this is how I kind of started. Amway was a great stepping stone. So from the age of 19, right, all the way till 24 years old, right? 17 to 24, all I did was odd shit. I was working at 47th Street, okay? And we're next to a jewelry store right here, which is pretty interesting, right?
Trax.
Well, Trax is one of the customers I used to bring, one of the guys used to bring customers to, okay? So it was a lot of these people, right? And oh my God, the fucking stories there. We can do another podcast on that. You think Uncut Gems is fucking, Uncut Gems 2.0, it's real. It's fucking real. It's crazy because they would fuck their own mother for $100. I would see with my own eyes. I'm like, wait a minute. If this guy just fucked his cousin, he's definitely gonna be fucking me. And it was true. Everyone's fucking everybody. I'm not physically. Okay?
Wait, so let me pause you for a second. The whole Trax drama with Akai Diamonds.
That was a every week thing, every month thing over there. Are you kidding me? Oh yeah, bro.
But you just didn't have.
Bro, I had a guy punch me in the face, hit me against the freaking wall because he didn't want to pay me my commission for a customer. Cops come, this and that, crazy shit. If I say the name, you know exactly who this person is, right? He's a famous guy now. On 47th Street, right? I had one guy throw me through a freaking glass door because I'm the kind of guy, if you owe me a commission.
Okay, we'll bleep this, but does it rhyme with?
I cannot say it. I will not say it in the camera.
Does it rhyme with, is it?
I will not say it. I'll tell you.
Is it?
I will tell you after.
Okay,
I will tell you after. I will not.
I'm trying.
The reason why, because we made amends, we're friends, everything's good. So
I respect that.
Of course.
Okay, then I don't want to know. Lashon Hara.
No, enemy shmenemy, baby. It's okay. The point I'm trying to make is that it was a fucking nightmare over there. It was crazy, and I was trying to make money.
So you're trying to find your peace, and you're in more war.
Oh, dude, I wanted to find peace. There's more war. I was like, this is crazy, right? And by the way, just imagine.
So were you making any money then?
Oh yeah, I made a lot of money.
What's
33 grand a fucking year, bro, for 5 years straight.
33 grand.
That was the max I ever made. I made 38 grand when I was 23 years old. That was the highest I ever made. Still living in my mom's house. No, of course not, bro. I'm trying to think. Remember, 19 years of gook in my head. I had to change my mentality.
What were you doing with the money?
I was living.
Were you giving it to your family? Like
Oh no, when I was 19, or when you talk about when I was,
no, when you were doing the jewelry stuff.
I was barely making money. You gotta
No,
understand.
I know 30 grand. So where'd it go? Just spend
About 15 grand went to living, and the other 5, 10 grand was trying to save. I actually saved up. I had about, by the time I was 22, 23 years old, I had about 10 grand saved up with a nice car. Yeah.
From 19 to 20. That's like your life is like.
Oh, I was chilling.
You must be like.
I had
life is
an
amazing.
Acura 3.2 TL S
TL
type.
was a hot car back then.
Yeah, the S type, pearl white, baby. 2000. What the? 2000.
What was the payment on it? How much?
Payments? I never did a payment.
Oh, you bought a cash.
Cash, bro. I never.
Ballin'.
No. Listen, balling. It was a $10,000 car.
From 19 at like, hey, we can't afford food, to 10 grand in the bank, driving a nice car. You must have been feeling.
Remember,
pretty good
I'm
about
comparing
yourself.
myself to who I can be.
Oh, but at that point,
But I feel okay. No, because I had this insane.
Oh, you knew it was much.
I knew there was so much more available out
so
there.
you weren't even.
No, bro.
You weren't satisfied at all.
No. Was I happy? Absolutely not, because I didn't know what happy meant. Was I satisfied? Absolutely fucking not. It's like, imagine going to a buffet and someone offers you lettuce. You're like, bro, well, fuck the lettuce. I want the fucking steak over there. Because you see the steak and you see other schmucks that have the steak, but you're like, you're much better than them. You're
Right, like they're
skill
not-
set.
yeah.
But they're not much better than me, and I have more. I'm willing to go through more pain than them. I'm willing to hustle more than them. You got to understand. $34,000 a year. This is with Amway and 47th Street, right? This is me working 100 hours a week.
Wow.
This is not me working
Wow.
16 hours.
Yeah, no, that's
I'm talking
a lot.
about 180 to 100 hours. I'm talking about, I used to
lot
go
of
to the
work for
gym.
not a lot of money.
I used to go to the gym at 3 in the morning just to get the gym in.
Wow.
I haven't missed the gym since I was 17 years old.
How many hours were you sleeping a night back then?
7 to 8. I never reduced my sleep because I knew sleep was very important.
But you weren't bullshitting. Were you going to movies? Were you hanging out? Were you partying?
My friends were in my business. My friends were my customers. That's what my life was.
So your life was work.
Yeah. My life was work because that was my escape, dude. That was the only thing I knew to escape my house. Remember, I'm still living in the same fucking apartment that I grew up in.
Wow. The same one bedroom.
The same fucking one bedroom, but now instead of 5 people, it's 4 people. Me, my mom, and my 2 brothers.
Wow.
So my whole life, I lived in a living room.
Wow.
So like to me, I'm 22 years old, 21 years old, trying to make it in life, trying to get out. First, you need a car because the reason why I had the car, my car was my second home. Because when I got kicked out of my mom's house for not behaving and fighting with my brothers, the only place I can go is where? That's the only backup I had. I couldn't depend on anybody. You understand?
Right.
When you live a life that I had to live, you cannot depend on other people. You start feeling like dependency on others is almost impossible.
Right.
Because if I depend on him, they're gonna pull the rug on you.
Right.
You depend. The government took me away from my parents. You can't depend on the government. You can't. You cannot trust anybody. Trust me was very sacred.
Yeah.
You understand? So going through the Amway business model, which was a part-time thing, but going to 47, she's trying to push myself to grow and grow and grow. All I was doing was planting seeds, baby. Planting seeds, planting seeds, planting seeds. I was sowing and sowing and sowing and sowing. Zero fucking growing. And have you ever seen a bamboo tree? 1 year you plant, you water it, you water it, you water it. There's nothing on year 4. Year 5, boom, it spurts up 3 feet a day. Sometimes even 9 feet a day. Just make sure you're not sitting there. Right? But why? Why? Because it's the bamboo tree. The bamboo tree is growing the foundation. So from 19 to 24 years old, all I am doing is building my foundation. And then at 24 years old, 23 years old, a friend of mine calls me. He's like, yo, Mike, you would do great in this. You should come do sales. I'm like, no, I'm focused. I'm the kind of person, I don't give up. When I'm doing something, I'm doing something. He's like, no, Mike, you gotta come. His name was Muhammad. I was like, you gotta come. I'm like, bro. He's like, just show up for the orientation. I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. So I showed up to this orientation. It was AT&T selling digital, home security systems. I came in there with sweatpants and a t-shirt because I was going to the gym across the street after that. I was like, I'm going to show up, say what's up, and go to the gym. I ended up working there. They ended up hiring me. I put my feet in the ground and said, okay, why should I work here? The guy actually hired me. I don't know why. No idea. I guess they were desperate for sales guys. 1099 job. Yeah. Did it for about 7-8 months. Made a couple of dollars, right? And then all of a sudden, a friend of mine was doing, Time Warner Cable. And I saw he was making 50 grand a year. I was like, this guy's fucking lazy, bro. Making 50 grand? I'm like, if this schmuck makes 50 grand a year, I'm gonna make my goal was to make 100 grand at that time.
Yeah.
Bro, I made almost 100, and I was about to make 100. They fired me. I remember I made 70, 80 grand. I was like, fuck. The next day, I went to the competition. My friend had an interview. He was like, bro, don't come, because I was going crazy when they fired me. I was kicking the garbage can. I was going nuts. And my brother's like, dude, I got an interview tomorrow with Verizon. They want to hire someone for door to door. I don't want to do that. Straight commission. Why don't you go do that? I was like, fuck it. And that's when my life went bing. Because that was the first job where I had the opportunity to go sell and kill without any restrictions. Because with corporate America, they got restrictions for this, you got whole corporate meetings, all this bullshit. This was the first 1099 job that gave me the flexibility, just go fucking kill. And I remember that was the first year I made 139 grand. Today's money is about 200 grand. Okay? I'm 24 years old, and I am making $3,000 every single week. $2,000-3,000 every single week.
It's good money.
I was stacking it, and by the time I was done with that job, because the office was closing, I had almost $100,000 saved up.
Wow.
And that's before, right during the time when I started the job, I moved out into my own place. And dude, that's when I decided to open up my own company. Because I was like, why am I working for this guy who wants to control me, this and that? I'm going to build my own thing. And we took that company from 2016 to 2019. We had 150 sales guys.
Wow.
It was an incredible time frame. I was on fucking cloud 9. My ego was through the fucking roof because I came from shit to here. And that's when God's like, I need to humble you for a little bit. 2020, baby. Right?
COVID.
Now, by the way, 2019, I made in my pocket $1.5 million.
Damn.
Right? You understand? So I don't care about
How old? You were how old in 2019?
I was 27 years old, 28. 27, 28, I became a millionaire. 29, I became a multi-millionaire.
Damn.
So to me, and by the way, this is not how much money you make. Everyone talks about how much. I'm talking about how much money you have in your bank, liquidity, or in your asset that's yours.
Damn.
Because everyone talks about, oh yeah, I made $500,000. They spent $300,000 on lifestyle. You really made 200 if you really think about it. I don't care about how much you spent. What is the net after your business, after your life? What is in your pocket? I remember paying New Jersey $50,000 in taxes, and I was like, what the fuck am I paying New Jersey for 50? Because I had a team there.
Right.
Like, fuck that, I'm going to Miami.
So there you go.
And that's why we're here.
And that's why we're here, baby. Well, state income taxes is beautiful outside. I mean, it's amazing. Well, that's just an insane story. I mean, I know a lot of it because obviously we've been here for a while, but just hearing it from you again is just incredible. And I know we don't have we could probably go for 3 hours on this podcast, but we gotta keep it up. So fast forward it. We got 10 minutes left. What is where are you now? What are you building now?
We have a solar company, solar and roofing.
Okay.
Just recently I became a partner in the installation company. So we do sales, we do marketing, we do operation. We actually do the installations on the roofs as well. And my goal before was to take over the world, this and that. But one thing I realized, why do you want to take over the world? Why don't you take over the city first? Take over the block first. Master the block.
Yep.
Control the block a little bit. Sell your product. Make sure everyone likes the product. Scale a little bit slowly because everyone's like, I want to be $1 billion company tomorrow. Bro, figure out the skill sets that you need to learn and the mindsets you need to learn and the work ethic you need. Too many motherfuckers, in my opinion, they don't have the proper work ethic. And when I say work ethic, it's not just about time. It's about leveraging your time, leveraging the people that you have in your company, the team that you have, right? Leveraging the systems. Then you have the mindsets. The proper mindset, the proper paradigm is what you need to become successful in anything you're trying to do. Whether you're a basketball player, I don't care if you're a masseuse, it doesn't matter. The mindset is important. And there's a lot of aspects to the mindset. And then you need the skill set, which is the technical aspect. So as you're not making the money that you're supposed to be making in your fucking head, everyone thinks about, why don't you take the time to learn the skill set, learn the mindset, and build your work ethic so that when the time comes for you to scale and blow up, it's fucking easy and you're not sitting there going from a $50 million company to $1 million company and losing everything. Because it happens a lot to many people. They outgrow them. The company outgrows themselves, and they have to bring it back to where they actually are mentally, financially, spiritually, and emotionally, right? So I always say, why don't you just build your vessel right now so when the time comes to explode, boom, it explodes the right way. And that's what my focus is. My focus is how do I build the right skill sets? So for me, one of the things that I decided to do 2 years ago, about a year and a half ago, was build an in-house call center. I wanted to, because I mastered door to door. I mean, sales to me was an easy thing. I wanted to master that. I mastered it, built a huge team, great. But then I was like, I really want to have another channel. So I said, I'm gonna play a game. To me, business is a game. I want to master the call center route. And I became so good at it that our guys right now, we're booking appointments. Our guys don't even have to do door to door anymore. They're getting appointments every single day, right? To me, it was a game. So everyone's worried about money, this, that. I want to be focus on the skill sets, the mindsets, and the work ethic, and you will get farther than everyone else. And by the way, stop comparing yourself to everyone else. Compare yourself to who you were last year, last month, and who you were before, and who you can become.
Love that. So tell me, how'd you get into the content game? You're already making millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Why do you need to post on social media, Michael?
Great question. So I was posting content when I was doing my sales content. I had about 10,000 followers by 2018, 2019, right? And I just was posting valuable content. I was posting just myself because I wanted to inspire that 19-year-old kid that's sitting there with doubt, fear, worry, disbelief. I wanted him to have a channel, a person that he can look up to and say, that's the guy I want to be like. Because I didn't have that, right? I was looking, when I was 19, we didn't have Facebook, Instagram. We had MySpace. Yeah. And it wasn't like what it is today where you can finally, nowadays you got to be careful who you're listening to because you don't even know if they're fucking real or not.
Right.
Whether it's AI or not, whether they're human beings, whether they have a real lifestyle, if they're worth listening to. So to me, I didn't do it for the money reasons. I did it for the adding value, giving back reasons, right? Mm-hmm. So I started doing business content. All of a sudden, I had all these questions. I always wanted to have mentors, but it's so fucking hard to find the right mentors. It really is. I mean, if you think about it, all these guys are like, where do I find a mentor? I don't fucking know. I have 2 mentors in my life. One is a very successful businessman. I will not say his name, and I will not say what business he does, but he's very successful, runs $1 billion company. And the other one is my father-in-law, the very successful man. These are the 2 people that are helping me right now. But how did I get so lucky? Because I married someone. But before that, who the fuck was helping me? I had to figure shit out on my own. I had to buy courses from here, buy this, buy that. So to me, I just wanted to be the guy that brings hope and inspiration to the people that can relate to 1/10 of my story. If there's one kid that got kicked out of school, boom, you relate with me. If there's one kid that went through domestic violence, boom, you can relate with me. If there's one guy that got kicked out of, a job or whatever, boom, relate to me. That's what I wanted to do. So that's how I started. And then I was like, I want to find, I have all these questions. I had questions. I wasn't asking questions to become famous. I was asking questions for me. I started asking business questions, right? I started asking this question, that question, and all of a sudden I started getting viral. I was like, oh shit, let's make some fucking content.
Like it's easier than they thought.
It's easier than I thought. And what that did was it elevated me in the social aspect. And now people ask me questions, which is beautiful, right? And now we go back and forth. But now I have something to say, hey, this is my social currency to relate with someone. This is my attention-seeking machine. This is also my giving back machine as well.
And that's really the key. I mean, I think a lot of people think like you're going to post on social media and like you're going to promote yourself and people are going to come running. Nobody cares. But like I think the fact that you went into it with an altruistic mind and you're like, I just want to talk to that kid who is me, who's growing up in a 1-bedroom apartment.
It keeps you going when things are going on. I remember when I was posting on TikTok, when TikTok first came out, I posted 100 days straight, one video every single day. 100 days later, I had 100 followers.
That's it.
Most people be like, I'm quitting.
Wow.
I posted 100 fucking videos, edited videos, 100 days in a row, bro. And I had 100 followers. I was looking at my show, I was like, and my friend's like, you're gonna stop this? I'm like, fuck no, who gives a fuck? I said what? I said one day. One video's gonna hit millions of views. One day. I don't fucking know when. It could be this week, could be next month, could be next year. It doesn't fucking matter. See, I will not stop until I die.
And what's your top video on TikTok now?
60 something million. Oh, TikTok is like 70 million, 60 million.
And how many followers do you have?
On TikTok? Like 130K.
It's crazy. You know, it's funny because I have clients who come to me and be like, can we do like a 1-month trial? I'm like, no, we're not going to figure this out.
No, bro, you gotta go. This is the long game. You gotta go in and out and 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 in and out. You're tired, you're hungry, you don't feel good, you don't want to do it, you don't want to see it. Keep fucking posting because as you're posting every day, God is this. You know what? God is the most amazing thing on the planet. For those who don't have a relationship with God, you're missing out on a big thing. God is like, I want to bless you, but you gotta prove to me that I'm gonna bet on you. So many people want miracles, but God will not create a miracle for you unless you become so good at saying, pick me, pick me, pick me, pick me, pick me. And a lot of you guys that are watching this, you go to the gym once a fucking week and say, pick me. While there's someone else that goes to the gym twice a fucking day, eats healthy, sleeps healthy, is diligent, is disciplined, and that's the guy who's gonna win. God wants to create miracles for you, but it cannot be like this lavish miracle. It's got to be hidden in the realm of the physical world. So make it easier for God to bless you. That's always I say. So is it easier for God to bless you if you post once a day? Or is it easier for God to bless you if you post once a week or once a month? It's much easier for God to say, oh, this guy right here is posting 3 times a day. Boom, give him some blessings. Because he wants it. He's showing me that I want it. So for me, everything came to me. This is the wrong way to do it, with force, because I was like forcing my way through everything.
Brute forced your way.
I brute forced my way. But you know what crazy? My wife has taught me that you don't have to brute force anymore. You could just relax, let God control the place, be the vessel you need to be. And by the way, I work less hours now than I did years ago. And I make more money now than I did years ago. And it sounds crazy. How is that possible? Because you have to understand, it's not about brute force. It's about chesed and gevurah together, working together, right?
You gotta jump
Discipline
into the stream,
and kindness working together.
You
And you get into the jet stream. And God's gonna be like, you know what? This is the guy I bet on. Because if God is gonna bet on you, no one can beat you. God already made the bet on you. You just gotta go prove to the world and prove to yourself that you're the right horse to bet on.
Damn. I don't usually get speechless, but that's crazy. Good stuff, man. All right, let's wrap it up with some rapid fire. That was kind of
rapid, baby.
Rapid fire. Okay. Quick ones, first instinct, no long answers. So you've sold diamonds, cell phones, Amway products, solar panels. What was the hardest thing to sell?
Toilet paper.
You sold toilet paper?
I sold everything, bro.
When did you sell toilet paper?
I sold toilet paper.
During COVID?
I just no.
That would've been easy.
Toothpaste and toilet paper were the hardest things to sell. I sold toothpaste when I was 19 years old. 18, 19 years old, I was working in the kiosks and I was selling teeth whitening.
Yep.
We sold it for $20. It was the fucking hardest thing to sell. You might say, Michael, why the fuck are you selling toothpaste? Bro, I remember when I was trying to get a job I went literally door to door in Queens Center Mall. I'll never forget. I went to every single freaking store, gave a resume, spoke to every fucking manager as possible that was available that day. I even went to Burger King outside. Nobody fucking hired me. Nobody gave me a fucking job. And then one day I go back there again. I'm like, I'm gonna try this again. And I said, this time I'm gonna do a different approach. This time I'm gonna go to the kiosks. So the kiosks are a little bit, they always hire someone, they might give someone a chance, I didn't know that at the time. But I told the guy, hey, listen, I know you're not hiring right now, but if I can get you 3 customers right now, would you give me a shot? He was an Israeli guy. His name was Itai Arrao, so I'll never forget. Right? He was a French Israeli guy. He's like, yeah, go ahead. He was busy with a customer. Yeah. So within 4 minutes, I brought him like 3, 4 customers. He was impressed. He booked an interview for me. That was my first sales job working in the mall.
Wow.
So and what was I selling? Tooth fucking paste.
Crazy.
So what was the hardest thing to sell? Toothpaste and then toilet paper when I was selling an Amway.
Damn. Best closing line you've ever seen or used on a close?
I can say the worst objection I had, and
Sure.
The funniest objection I had is the guy's like, I really got to sleep on it, and because I got a dream on it, and I have to, I need to get a relationship with God, and if God gives me the dream, I'm gonna do it. Tomorrow morning we could do it. I said, listen, brother, let's do the paperwork right now. I promise you, by the time you go to sleep, you're gonna be dreaming about all the beautiful things that I told you right now. I'm gonna get it done. He didn't do it, but it's okay.
Okay.
That was the worst objection I got, the dreaming thing. I could never handle that one because what are you going to say to that? I need a dream so God can tell me to do it.
That's hard to.
But the best closing line was, there's so many good closing lines, these one-liners everyone loves. But the one thing that I can say that really is powerful is when you're selling a product, especially in your business, right? They're afraid sometimes when it comes to decision-making process with that 10 grand, 5 grand. It's usually when it's time to commit, they're afraid. And what you got to say to them is, for me, I always say this: if you're not willing to bet on yourself, sir, why would I bet on you? If you're not willing to bet on yourself right now for $5,000, why would I bet on you? Why would anyone bet on you for your business, for your product? You're hesitating to bet on yourself for 5 grand?
Wow.
Right? So to me, that's a good closing line because it shows the person, like, dude, do you believe in yourself?
I love it.
Do you like yourself? Do you trust yourself? Like, you can make 5 grand tomorrow if you're going to go back to the business world. You're going to make your 5 grand anytime. It may take you a week, a month, a year. I don't know how long it might take you, but you don't bet on yourself. This is the only shot you have. How can you want me to bet on you and give you my service and product and take care of you, but you can't even make a decision about yourself?
Wow.
And it makes them think, you know what? He's fucking right. Make a bet.
So less rapid fire than we thought, but I'm still enjoying. Okay, you get a brand new sales rep. They're terrified to knock on their first door. What do you tell them?
Say it again?
You get a brand new sales rep.
Yeah.
They're terrified to knock on their first door.
Knock on the door.
Knock the Band-Aid off.
Yeah, knock on the door. Let them open the door and say what? Say something. Hello. Bye-bye. Next door. Hello, my name is, boom, close the door next. Just you got to get the repetitions in, right? You got to go out there. Most people are afraid. Fear is a illusion, and a lot of times people are afraid to make decisions. They're afraid to make, they're afraid to make commitments. They're afraid to make a lot of different things. Do it. Do it. It might sound crazy. Oh, wait, you have to feel the fear and do it anyway. Courage is not about when people say about courage, right? It's not about, you think Superman, all these heroes do things because they're not afraid? No, they're doing not in the absence of fear. They do it because the fear is still there. They do it anyway. That's what courage is about. You feel the fear, you do it anyway. You need to be a little courageous.
You have 153,000 followers on Instagram. What number do you actually care about more than follower count?
Okay, we're talking about spiritual, we're talking about physical.
No, on social media.
Social media. What I care about is the community and the relationships you get. Because you can have 1 billion freaking views and you can have 1 billion followers and tomorrow they'll forget about you.
Love it. If you lost Nova tomorrow, you had to start over from zero, what are you doing?
I think about that all the time. I definitely sit back for 3 to 6 months and not do anything because I think the best thing you could do is just kind of sit back and kind of watch the world and see the problems that are out there in the world. Go talk to some business owners, go talk to some friends, see what they're doing, which is I always kind of see what's out there and figure out what is the best place where my mindset, my skill set, and my spiritual energy will make the world a better place. Like, what can I do to serve the world in a better place? Because I know that I can make money. Money is a very easy thing to do once you understand the game of money. It's a fucking game. It's very easy.
Yeah.
But to be fulfilled and happy and have a great life with your wife, with your children, and make money and be successful and give charity and all those things, it takes a different type of skill. So for me, it's not just about the money. It's about having a full-rounded life. There's 7 areas that I talk about, which we could talk about another time. And you have to have a fulfilled life. Otherwise, you'd be a multi-billionaire, but your fucking wife and children hate you. What is the point of that? It makes no sense. Does that make sense? So for me, I look at it as what can I do to make the world a better place? How can I inspire the world? How can I make the world, and how can I bring more light? You know, we live in such a beautiful world. Hashem, God, light is so beautiful. And we try to keep it within ourselves. Why not give it out? God gives us everything we want. You have to go out there and just do what needs to get done to shed more light into the world. And if you do so, you'll feel 10 times better about yourself. And you're going to inspire the next generation, because at the end of the day, when you die, the money doesn't come with you. Your jewelry doesn't come with you. The success that you build doesn't come with you. Even the shit that you've done in the past doesn't come with you. But the light that you pass on always goes with you, through you and to other people.
Nice. I don't think I can top that. Michael Barayev. Beautiful. We got to do this again.